This is probably one of the best Pokemon games that you've probably never played. Yeah, talking to you, man. Pokemon Ranger is a game series that came out on the Nintendo DS a couple of years ago. And unlike the regular Pokemon games, this game had the unique mechanic of befriending Pokemon and rising through the ranks of a Pokemon Ranger until eventually through the campaign, you kind of end up saving the world. Now, when I played this game on my second channel, I was just not expecting any of the companionship and like pride that this game gives you. Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Almia has you going through the entire game, doing boss fights, helping out people, and making sure that when you achieve something crazy, it's on the news. So today I will be showing my 100% of Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Almia, which is actually the second out of 3 games because I didn't know the other games existed. Whoops. It all starts off with an immediate tutorial in Pokemon Ranger. In order to capture, or like they call it, befriend Pokemon, you need to use your stylus on your DS to draw circle loops around Pokemon. This is the core gameplay loop of Pokemon Ranger, and it's why you're going to be seeing my face cam occasionally shake several times, because I'm quite literally almost moving my entire table. Right now, we're currently enrolled in the Pokemon Ranger school, and after scoring well on the entrance exam, we end up capturing a couple of loose Bidoofs in the field after they've gone loose. And after this quick little mission with us are Rivme and Keith, 2 other students that will be following us throughout the campaign. After this, we're actually given the ability to roam around and start capturing some other Pokemon, which I promptly do because eventually we need to get every single Pokemon entered into the Pokedex. But immediately I was hooked. Befriending Pokemon was just so fun, and I love this brand new like capturing mechanic. And also there was apparently like a level up system I'm seeing. I'm already hooked. Now this whole introduction chapter is us before we become an actual ranger. And so because of that, later on in that day, we're given our initiation to be a proper initiate in Ranger School, I guess. The other students have tasked us to go find 4 other stylers on the floor in order to complete our initiation. And so with Keith, we go around capturing a bunch of other Pokemon, and after finding all of the 4 stylers at the end of the night, we're supposed to leave them in front of the basement door. Now, luckily for me, carpal tunnel hasn't caught up with me yet, so capturing these fellows were a breeze. But all of a sudden, Teacher Kincaid busts down open the door. For some reason, he's awake, and after we run away, reveals to the camera that he has been working on a little project with another student named Isaac. I wonder what they're doing. Anyway, you and Keith are now sent off to go to a ranger base in Vientown, kind of like an internship opportunity. While we're there, we're tasked with delivering a very important package to the rangers on the beach area. And it turns out that this very important package was just their lunch. So yeah, they were just playing a prank on us. But all of a sudden, a girl on the beach shore ends up getting jumped by like 5 Pokemon. So us, Keith, and a bunch of the other rangers have to go and subdue them. The thing is though, apparently this is the point where you actually get to pick your first partner Pokemon, which is a concept I'll explain later. But I ended up going to befriend the Starly, and after doing so, the Starly doesn't want to leave me. It loves me. But since we're not like an official Pokemon Ranger yet, we unfortunately have to leave the Starly behind. But anyway, fast forward to the end of the semester. It is the Ranger School's graduation day. We are now graduating from a Ranger student to become an official Ranger. During the graduation, apparently we are like the class representative. I don't know what we did, but apparently we're doing something right. But all of a sudden during the graduation speech, the entire thing gets jumped by 2 Tangrowth in the basement. I don't know how that happened. You and Keith go on and subdue them, where it's revealed that this is actually the first boss fight of the game. And let me tell you, this fight was pretty rough. Bosses in Pokemon Ranger have like an extended health bar, and you have to continuously keep drawing circles around them, and they oh man. But I will say, this was a lot of fun, and I mean a lot of fun. Especially later on in the game when we get even harder bosses. This was probably one of my favorite mechanics of Pokemon Ranger. But now today was the day. We wake up in our family home down in Chickhole Village, and today is the day where we are going to become an official Pokemon Ranger. We end up going back to the place that we entered at in Vientown. Turns out we got a return offer, and we are now going to become an official Pokemon Ranger stationed at this base. We go on to the back and put on our official Pokemon Ranger outfit, and with this outfit and receiving our capture styler, we are now an official certified Pokemon Ranger. This Pokemon Ranger stylus is actually different from our student one because now we have the ability of getting help from the Pokemon that we befriend. So now whenever we're trying to capture other Pokemon, if we have already befriended Pokemon, we can do specific abilities based on the type of that Pokemon. While we're busy running errands across town, we end up going down to the beach where we end up finding the Starly that we befriended earlier in the tutorial. This ends up becoming our very first partner Pokemon. Now in Pokemon Ranger, if you can't tell already, every single time you befriend a Pokemon and you use them in a field move, or you use them for capturing another Pokemon, like their ability, they'll typically just leave you then and there. But with partner Pokemon, that's completely different. Instead, they stay with you and eventually will get way more with differing abilities. And of course, that's one of the requisites for 100%ing Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Almia. The following day, we end up getting a report to go check out a strange disturbance and noise coming from a cave down by the beach. When we enter the cave with Crawford, we end up finding this purple miasma in the base, and all of the Pokemon are kind of hypnotized. We end up capturing a Zubat or trying to befriend it, and for some reason, it just runs away. It doesn't listen to us. Something weird is happening. After solving a couple of puzzles to traverse through the cave, we end up finding a red machine tucked in the back of the cave. After using a Gastrodon to destroy the machine, all of the Pokemon all of a sudden return back to their senses. But still, what is this machine? How can it do something like that? With the help of Big Bertha, yes, that's her name, we're able to bring home the machine back to the Ranger base headquarters to go investigate it. And while we're here, we also end up ranking up to Ranger level 1 and revealing one of my favorite features in the campaign, the newspapers. Every single time you do a campaign mission in this game, they end up showing what happens on the newspaper, and turns out Keith is surprisingly doing really good back wherever he is. Eventually, as you go through the game, we start getting way more cooler feats that start being added to the newspaper, and for some reason, that just kind of hits hard with me. In the original Pokemon games, you're not really recognized as the guy that saved the world, whereas in Pokemon Ranger, all of the feats that you do and all the promotions you get slowly build up and just makes my ego feel right. But for some reason, before we figure out what this machine is or how it's able to hypnotize Pokemon, all of a sudden a forest fire breaks out in the northern forest of Vienne Town. And so with Luana and Crawford, we end up going up to the Vienne forest to try and locate a Blastoise who knows the move Rain Dance. Now, Blastoise wasn't a boss Pokemon, so it was actually really easy to catch, but while we're actually casting Rain Dance on the local forest, we end up finding those destroyed red machines that are scattered around, so probably a Pokemon ended up causing this fire. We end up finding a suspicious looking man who kind of smells like oil, and upon following him, he ends up leading us to another red machine. Now, before we go on and continue the main story, I ended up going off and doing some side quests. Side quests in this story aren't necessarily really important. All you gotta know is that they give you power-ups, and they also give you new partner Pokemon, so I spent a couple of minutes doing a couple of random side quests scattered throughout town. But anyway, we return back to the home base, where Professor Hastings is now investigating the machine to figure out what's going on, where he ends up saying that they actually have been seeing sightings of these machines back in a different place called Puel Town. And so with Luana, we make our way down to Puel Town, capturing a bunch of brand new Pokemon, and also I've added a little Pokemon counter in the bottom right. There's 267 of them that we need to catch, I think. I don't know if I got my number right, but eventually we reach Puel Town, and as you can see, everything is going haywire here. There's a bunch of these red machines scattered throughout the place, and a bunch of the Pokemon are going absolutely crazy, attacking people. We end up making our way through to the Puel Town docks, where it's revealed that there is a larger machine here with a bunch of goons and a Toxicroak. They end up revealing their name as Team Dim Sun, a brand new team trying to take control all of Almia using these machines. Now, later on in the video, you're probably going to hear me refer to them as Team Dim Sum, like the Chinese dumplings. That's my fault. That's my bad. All right, that's my, I can't help it, right? I'm Asian. They try to jump us with a couple of Rattatas, but luckily for me, my carpal tunnel hasn't kicked in yet, and we beat them with very little effort. But all of a sudden, we get jumped by another boss Pokemon, the Toxicroak, which for me right now was definitely a challenge. This boss Pokemon kept dropping poison pools, and every single time you drop your stylus in there, it just breaks the styling stuff. But anyway, after we calm down the Toxicroak, Team Dim Sum retreats trying to carry their machine, and they successfully flee. We end up returning home, and even though we failed to capture any of them, we still got a mission clear. Turns out that they refer to these machines as Giga Remo machines, and the next following day, we end up doing another side quest, which involves us actually visiting back our home and going through the partner ranch. In here, we meet a Kricketot, and upon befriending him, we actually are able to swap him out for Farstarly and have a brand new partner Pokemon. Every single partner Pokemon has a brand new and different ability that you can use, and eventually we'll need to collect every single one of them. We end up doing another side quest and get a Cranidos partner Pokemon, which, by the way, I love Cranidos, so I kept them as my partner Pokemon for a while. But then, since we're a Pokemon Ranger, we never sleep, so we get charged with another brand new task, and this time we have to go and repair the Norward Bridge. For some reason, it's stuck and they can't cross it anymore, and turns out the reason why is because they don't have the key. Upon going to the docks to go find the key, turns out that they actually accidentally dropped it in the middle of the ocean, and so we do a quick water level where the movement, it just wasn't there for me. It just wasn't braining for me. When we're about to pick up the key, all of a sudden our Sharpedo picks it it up, and so we have to traverse through the Puel Sea using a bunch of brand new Pokemon, crossing through and just solving obstacles. Nothing really special happens here other than me just capturing brand new Pokemon and updating my current catalog, but eventually we're able to befriend the Sharpedo, get the key, and finally put down the bridge and finally have access to a brand new area, Altru Incorporated. In here, we end up running into Isaac, who, if you can recall, is actually the student from the previous introduction that was working on that secret project with Kincaid. He ends up inviting us into the Altru building, where inside here we end up getting a glimpse of the Altru CEO and his like kind of crazy capitalistic setup, like with the CEOs on the walls and the portraits and everyone's like lining up for him. It's crazy, but that doesn't really matter because we ended up putting down the bridge in order to have access to the Ranger Union. When we walk west, we end up going into the Ranger Union building, and in the main room we end up finding out that a bunch of the Rangers have gathered here to try to figure out what is going on with this Gigaremo machine. How is it able to control Pokemon? How is it able to hypnotize them? What are they planning on doing with this thing? It turns out that after they broke down this machine, that there is a special gem inside that actually causes the hypnotizing properties. Without it, it actually doesn't work at all. Interesting. What is this strange stone you have here? But anyway, on the way back with our team leader Barlow, we end up finding a huge tremor happening in the Peril Cliff. So after a quick tiny section of us just cutting vines and traversing through this area, we end up finding that these tremors are being caused by a bunch of Rampardos. And so after a quick boss battle with the Rampardos, we end up going back home, and we also pick up a brand new ability to ride on Doduos. Now traveling on feet is way more accessible and way more fast, and with our Pokemon catalog being 53 out of 267, we are almost a fifth of the way there to 100%ing the game. Our next mission is rather a sweet one. We're actually tasked with going back to the Ranger School where we graduated in the introduction and actually giving a lesson to prospective students. We end up running into some Team Dim Sun members with a Krogunk, and after quickly handling that, we end up going into the Ranger School and start helping out. First of all, we do a mini Q&A session with all of the students and start answering a bunch of questions until all of a sudden we're attacked by some more Team Dim Sun members. After a quick aura farm session by defeating them, we head on back to the Ranger base for a mission clear, and we also get a quick peek at the newspaper where we can see Keith actually doing his own missions. So things are now going to pick up. After going to sleep and waking up, we got a report that Barlow, who is our current leader, his signal actually has gone missing. And so we take a boat and head off into Boyle Land, a volcanic region. Inside of Boyle Land is a volcanic cave, and in here are a bunch of Charmanders, Stunkies, a bunch of fire Pokemon. And after making our way through exploring all of the cave, we end up finding the back exit, where it turns out there is a Team Dim Sun hideout here. And so we sneak onto the Team Dim Sum cargo ship. Inside of this ship, we're able to finally locate the room where they tied up Barlow. They tied him up in the dark. And with him, we storm our way up to the top of the cargo ship, where it's revealed that the leader, the person who's been pulling all the strings behind this complete operation, was actually Teacher Kincaid from the Academy. He reveals himself as a member of Team Dim Sun, actually infiltrating the Pokemon School Academy to try and do something, apparently. While here, he attacks us with a group of Rhyhorns and eventually a brand new boss Pokemon, a Drapion. Probably the hardest boss fight for me thus far. Oh, he got thrown back! Barlow! No shot. You deserve kudos for your bravado, but clearly, you lack the ability. I'm useless. My styler's broken. No way. So where's your pumped up bravado now? This is the power of our new Mini Remo. The Mini Remo is nothing like the crude and infernally heavy Giga Remo. Not only is it compact and portable, but it has over 100 commands. Adrian, you may be interested to know who developed the Mini Remo. It was a youth, a boy, about your age, who is a genius that comes along once a century, if that. To recruit the genius, I'd taken a position at the Ranger School. Does that surprise you? He basically, he groomed Isaac! All right, now we gotta fight. I got this. Draw a loop to form a ring of energy. Form it to make the target stop. Oh, wow, that hurts. Oh, wow. Wait, this guy's the hardest Pokemon we ever had. Dude, those purple things won't disappear. I can't catch it. It's doing that attack. I got it. Oh, my goodness. But luckily for us, we're able to defeat the Drapion until all of a sudden, Kincaid decides to just completely destroy the ship. So now with Barlow, we're trying to figure out how to stop the ship from sinking. We end up locating a Machoke who, with his ability, is able to tackle open the, drain pipe into the hole and stop the cargo ship from sinking. At least we think, because all of a sudden the ship ends up ramming its way into the Pokemon Instructor Ranger School. Despite it crashing into the coast of the school, we have a mission clear. But because of the heroics of the last mission and us rising up to the task, we have now been called to go to the Ranger Union to now become a top ranger. The Ranger Union chairperson Irma has called us to go back there and help assist in some type of operation, and thus we now must leave our position in Vientown and go off to bigger and better things. We appear on the newspaper and now are tasked with a brand new mission. We end up meeting up with Keith, another top ranger. My man Keith is rising through the ranks as we are, and we're tasked to explore the Chroma Highlands. And while we are here, we end up finding a bunch of course, Giga Remo machines. We end up making our way into the Chroma ruins, and the reason why we're here is because there's also another top ranger here that's gone missing, and we need to go find them. Inside here, we're able to find a ton of dark Pokemon, and the platforming in this place was actually a little bit strange. You have to kind of use drift blooms and kind of float up and go down on specific areas, but there was a ton of dark, psychic, and ghost Pokemon, and at this point in the game, we have 110 out of 260 Pokemon entered into our database. Deeper into the cave, we're able to locate Sven, the top ranger that has requested our assistance. And in here, we're able to use a stunk tank to make all the Team Dim Sun members go absolutely crazy. And with this, we go deeper into the Chroma ruins. Turns out they're trying to find a resource or something in here. As we head on deeper into the cave, we end up finding a Spiritomb, an actual boss battle, surprisingly. This was a guardian Pokemon guarding something deep into the cave. And after successfully defeating him, we end up finding a strange missing stone in the back of the cave. Whatever was here, whatever this Spiritomb was defending, is now gone. But we keep going through the hole and find ourselves into a cabin on the Chroma Highlands. Inside of here, we're able to locate a journal with several burnt text, and we're not able to figure out the meaning of it, but through something called inferring, we're able to kind of figure out that this is indeed a diary. While inside here, we end up finding a Team Dim Sun member who's actually a former graduate of our class in Ranger School named Ponty. So even though he's part of Team Dim Sun, it actually kind of sounds like he doesn't really know what he's doing. It kind of just sounds like Team Dim Sum kind of offered him a home and some food, and he kind of just went along with it, but he's a chill guy until he actually revealed to us that he actually quit Team Dim Sum, so that's good on him. But anyway, with the diary, you, Keith, and Sven end up returning back to the Ranger headquarters to try to decipher the diary and what it means. While translating the diary, they end up finding out the phrase Brighton. Interesting. We end up going to the Altru building, and upon looking at those capitalistic paintings of the former CEOs of Altru Inc, we end up finding that the second president of Altru Inc is indeed named Brighton. Therefore, this must be his diary. But why? And why is it in the middle of nowhere? As we continue deciphering this diary, it turns out that President Brighton's diary dates back to 30 years ago, where back then they actually found a gigantic dark stone mounted inside of the cave. And in this diary, he claims that this shadow crystal, this dark crystal, could be the secret to something of Almia. But all of a sudden, while we're deciphering this diary, the stone necklace of one of the employees ends up glowing near the dark stone that was inside of the Giga Remo machines, and for some reason it's turning down the power of the hypnotizing mechanic of the machines. And so we make our way to Haya Valley, the location, or the original location, of the stones that this guy's necklace is from. While asking the locals where this stone came from, we end up finding out that the original location of this stone was somewhere near a place called Almia Castle. And so after capturing an Empoleon, we're able to ride onto this icy lake, and I'll just tell you this part sucked. I hated figuring out where to go. It was just really hard, and also if you fell into a whirlpool, you start at the beginning of the location. It was terrible. Anyway, we're able to cross the ice lake and make our way to the Almia Castle location, where reportedly these are where the blue stones were from. Inside of the castle were a bunch of Team Dim Sun members for some reason. And so after defeating them, we make our way through the castle, finding Pokemon to help get rid of the obstacles, until eventually we make it to the semi-final room of the Almia Castle, where it's guarded by one of the Team Dim Sun elite members, Ice. We're able to successfully defend ourselves against his Pokemon, a Frostlass boss. Luckily for me, for this point in the game, I already had a Chimchar as a partner Pokemon that I got from a side quest, and because there's type advantages in this, I was able to quickly wrap up the battle and move on into the next room, where we actually get blocked by a statue of Riolus. After capturing 2 Riolus in the local area of the Almia Castle, we're able to walk through this mirror wall until we're eventually faced with the blue stone that we came here to find, until all of a sudden the guardian of the blue stone attacks us, and it is a Lucario. We're dead. Now we're dead. We're actually dead. There's no shot. He's literally trying to... Dude, there's no shot. He has a title screen. Gem Guardian Lucario. Oh my lord. Let's see. All right, let's use Dugong. I froze his ass. So easy. I don't even know why I was worried. After befriending the Lucario, he's able to actually entrust us with this blue stone, this magnificent, beautiful stone. And with it, we're able to take it back to the Ranger base headquarters. With the stone, we end up broadcasting a total nationwide signal to try to make sure that none of the Pokemon are going crazy again. And turns out it worked. In Puel Town, it did. But turns out in other parts, in Vienne Town, it's still not working. Until all of a sudden, it's revealed that there is actually 2 more stones, a yellow and a red stone. After doing some quick quick maths, apparently that the blue stone has only reduced the effects of the shadow gem by 33%, meaning that we need these 2 other gems from their respective locations, wherever they are, and hopefully with all of them we can completely negate the effects of this shadow gem from controlling and making these Pokemon go crazy. Since there's 2 gems and 2 top rangers, we're in charge of the red gem and Keith is in charge of the yellow gem. We end up going to Boyle Land, where the red gem is located at. After asking the village elder for access to the brand new cave on the right of the map of the volcano cave, we find ourselves fighting Lavana, one of the other Team Dim Sum elite admin members, so many names, and she sends off a wave of Pokemon to attack us, including an Infernape boss fight. Since I already knew that I was heading off into a fire location, I had my partner Pokemon set to a Piplup that I got from a side quest. Piplup's ability allows me to just shoot a bunch of bubbles which do a lot of befriending damage. Now don't get me wrong though, Infernape was rough. This guy did a ton of damage, but luckily for us we're able to befriend it and get a ton of experience on our looper. But of course that wasn't it, because as soon as we get into the back of the volcano cave to get the red gem, we end up fighting our first legendary Pokemon, a Heatran. I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot that this Pokemon existed in the game. But Heatran was an absolute monster. He's able to spew out lava pools and also do these fire explosions that take up a large portion of the screen. But because of Piplup and its type advantage, we're slowly able to chip out its HP until we had 9 HP remaining, and we finally befriended the Heatran and got the red gem. Also, when we leave the cave, we end up getting a brand new partner Pokemon, a Mime Jr., which will add to our collection. Not that big of a deal. But upon returning back to the Ranger Union, we get promoted to Ranger rank 7 for a beautiful mission complete. But we still need the yellow gem that Keith was tasked with. But hopefully after that, we're able to completely negate the effects of the shadow gem. But all of a sudden, we get a report that Keith is supposedly having trouble with the yellow gem guardian, and so now we gotta go and rescue him. And so we make our way to the Haruba Desert until all of a sudden there's a fork in the road, or a fork in the ocean, I should say. We end up finding out it's because of Team Dim Sun in this location. They set up a bunch of these like shock container things on the Wailord, but after setting him free, the Wailord ends up leading us somewhere. And upon following him, we end up finding ourselves in the oil field hideout, where Sven was actually secretly tracking down this Dim Sum outpost. You and Sven end up exploring the oil field hideout and just kind of destroying the ship. You also end up finding Isaac, one of the scientists, or you know, our graduates of Ranger School, and it seems like he's been kind of brainwashed or convinced by Kincaid that whatever he's doing is for the betterment of society. But when we get to the end of the oil field hideout, it's revealed that Kincaid was actually manipulating Isaac to help develop the technology that they want to use to manipulate the Pokemon with. And thus we go into another boss fight with a Gliscor. Luckily for us, we had another type advantage, as I bought a Snover from a side quest that I did. You see the trend I'm doing here? And after successfully defeating it and taking them all down, they end up fleeing, causing us to get a mission clear. And so we make our way to the Haruba Desert to try and find Keith. While here, we're able to enter the Hippowdon Temple, where Keith is supposed to be at. And while we're going here, we're getting calls from him, and it doesn't sound like him. So he's probably captured, right? Hippowdon Temple is full of just puzzles and parkour, and believe it or not, I actually spent a couple of hours here and just absolutely freaking out because I couldn't pass certain parts of the puzzle. But eventually we find ourselves face worth with the yellow gem, and all of a sudden we're attacked by the Guardian, a Cresselia. I also forgot this Pokemon existed, but hey, this is good. This is good. We're bringing back old memories. Using a Gengar that I caught earlier in the Hippowdon Temple, this fight was kind of easy in a way. I've gotten way more accustomed with looping with my stylus, but still, just to keep things safe, I ended up using my Snover at the end of the fight, and we're able to successfully befriend the Cresselia and get the yellow gem. But all of a sudden, we're ambushed by Team Dim Sun once again by the last member of the Sinistrio. Turns out this was all part of their plan to take the yellow gem, because they have actually kidnapped Keith, and so we have to trade Keith for the yellow gem. Even though we traded the yellow gem for Keith, I'd rather have a fully functioning human on my side rather than the gem. But still, that puts our plans at a very bad spot, because now we don't have a third of the power that we need to suppress the shadow gem, and with Team Dim Sum planning something, we may be screwed. And screwed we are, because it's revealed that the true goal of Altru Inc. and Team Dim Sum is that they have been constructing this machine, the perfect machine, which indeed is their Altru Tower, and using the shadow crystal at the very top, they plan on broadcasting a nationwide signal to control every single Pokemon in the Almia region and use it for discover their own evil. And so we hatch an operation with all of the Rangers together. Our plan is to raid the Altru Inc tower and try and get the yellow gem. But maybe instead of getting the yellow gem, why don't we just bring the other gems to it, and using the yellow gem, we could try to successfully contain the shadow gem. But all of a sudden, while constructing a plan, we end up getting attacked by Team Dim Sum themselves onto the Ranger Union base. While here, we end up finding an Electivire and a Garchomp. And the reason being for this attack is that they have decided to kidnap Isaac and his sister Melody in order to force him to finish the perfect machine to control all of the Pokemon in the Almia region. And so you and Keith are now tasked to raid the Altru Inc tower and meet up with Sven and Wendy at the top. While going up the tower, we are in charge of disabling all 3 of the barrier layers and hopefully stop the Shadow Crystal from destroying the nation of Almia. While making our way through the Altru Inc tower, we find a ton of strong Pokemon. I mean, strong fellas, dude. We're eventually able to reach the top and successfully rescue Isaac and Melody. But unfortunately, we're way too late. They're successfully able to complete the machine, and total nationwide control of Pokemon is incoming. We then find ourselves facing against the Sinistrio once again. The first one is Heath and his Rhyperior. Not only are all of their Pokemon just buffed, but they do so much damage. Luckily for us, we're able to befriend the Rhyperior and disable the first level of the barrier. The second level of the barrier is guarded by Lavana and her Magmortar. But luckily for us, even though the Pokemon are getting stronger, so is my Carpal Tunnel. I was able to successfully befriend it, and now the second layer of the barrier is now done. We make our way to the third layer and meet Ice once again with his Glade. And once again, in a quick battle, we're able to befriend it, but unfortunately for us, we were not able to actually stop it because apparently this guy knows how to code and made it where we can't turn it off. But since we're with Isaac, while he's trying to program the code to stop, we need to defend him against the rest of the Sinistrio, meaning now we're gonna rematch all of them at once. The Magmortar, the Glade, and the Rhyperior all together in one big battle. Oh my goodness, that did so much damage. Come on. Shield on you last so long. Thank you. Easy. No diff. But luckily for us, we're able to defeat them in time and stop the machine. Or so we think. As we get higher onto the tower, turns out that there's something else being summoned and controlling the Pokemon. A dark, shadowy being. As we reach the top of the Altru Tower, we end up facing off with the CEO of Altru Incorporated, Blake Hall. He ends up summoning Darkrai to try and take us out. But things don't go his way, as all of a sudden, the Darkrai turns on him and brings him into the world of darkness. Crystals above his head. This is it. Level dark. The forbidden power known only to the infinity. That is darkness. My Darkrai, your age has arrived. But there is a job you must first complete. Swat down the annoying pests flying overhead. Goo goo gaga. Wait, no, fight me. Don't kill my friends. Oh, Wheeler's getting stuck inside. Darkrai, what's the meaning of this? Stop this at once. Oh no, Darkrai's going rogue. Mr. President! He just died. Mr. Wheeler? No more. I don't want this. I'm going home to the country. Oh no, Darkrai's going rogue. Darkrai, what are you doing? The ranger is that way. Stop this, Darkrai. Don't pull me into the darkness. No. As the Darkrai takes the president into the pit of darkness, we are now tasked with fighting the last final boss of Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Almia, Darkrai. All right, let's not use shield on. I don't need it. This is a true ranger test. Darkrai, come forth. I'm not gonna need it. I'm just gonna witness its attacks. Okay, so it does that. What else do you do? A lot of teleporting. What is that? Wait, I got nothing. Wait, what? Wait, what? Why is it not working? Hold on. All right, let me actually use shield on. For some reason, he's not like getting friendship. We're not supposed to die, are we? Oh, okay. It's just a cutscene. Even though we're able to befriend the Darkrai, turns out he's able to close his mind. Obviously, as a legendary Pokemon, he can do that. But that means if we can't befriend the Darkrai, we can't stop the Shadow Crystal. But then all of a sudden, the gems start glowing, and with all of the combined gems, we're able to combine our Styler into the strongest Styler available in the Almia region. And with this Styler, we're able to go back into the fight with Darkrai and try our best to tame him and stop the nation from exploding? Something like that. Run it back, Darkrai. Run it back, Darkrai. Let's do this. I got a rematch. Whoa. Look at our Styler. It's so cool now. All right, hold on. I'm going to wait. Charge it up. Wait around. Don't be too hasty, Adrian. There we go. All good? What is this? What is he doing? He has like a big orb above the screen. Not that it matters to me. I am the ultimate Pokemon Ranger. Come on. This is the power of friendship. Don't tell me he has a second phase. Did we do it? That was way easier than I thought. And with that being said, with now the combined powers of the rest of the gems, we're able to nullify the shadow gems and stop the plans of Team Dim Sun. All of a sudden, it's finally revealed what is actually happening. Turns out when President Brighton discovered the shadow crystal, he ended up finding out that Darkrai was the reason for all of its source of power, and that the current president, Blake Hall, has actually been brainwashed by the power of the shadow crystal, turning him into this brutal CEO. Blake Hall's real name is actually Wyatt Hall, and he had been corrupted by the Shadow Crystal to perform and do all of the things that he had done till now. But anyway, with that being said, that is now a mission clear, and now we go on back home to Chickole Village to our family, and we are now the hero that has saved Almia and all of its Pokemon. And with that being said, that is now the end of the campaign of Pokemon Ranger, with us being the hero that saved the nation. And let me just say that there's so much aura farming points that I can't even fathom to know how much clout that'll give me. And as you can see right there, we are now on the newspaper as the top ranger saving Almia. I love it. But still, we're not done yet. As you know, we're doing a 100% on Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Almia, and we still have about 30-ish Pokemon to go to and all of the rest of the side quests. The first thing I decided to do is complete all of the side quests because I thought that was pretty easy. It's already built into the game. And at this point in the game, I've already kind of been doing it at the same time of me recording the videos, and they're not really necessarily important except for the last side quest. This side quest ends up giving us the ability to try and capture a Celebi. After we successfully captured the Celebi, he ends up healing the forest of the Vienne forest that was affected by like that whole forest fire thing. And because of that, we have now completed every single upgrade on our power-up data list that we got from all of the side quests. And at this point in the game, we have 253 out of 267 Pokemon. Now, the thing is, most of the Pokemon you can actually just kind of find throughout the world, so I'm not really covering most of that. But some of the Pokemon, like the legendary Regirock or the Regi Trio, you actually have to find in these kind of secret locations. In the Vienne Forest, we're able to use a Garchomp to actually trigger the spawn of the Regirock. And then in the Chroma Ruins, using a Gallade, we're able to trigger the Registeel spawn and capture a Registeel. Finally, with a Magmortar, we're able to go into the Almia Castle and actually capture the last Regi Trio, Regice. And now in order to get the last Pokemon, a Regigigas, turns out you actually need to get every single other Pokemon in the index, like in the Pokedex, before you have access to capturing it and have the Regi Trio in your inventory. And so I went ahead and captured all of the other stray straggler Pokemons that I haven't caught throughout the rest of the map. These include a Torterra, a Porygon, a Flygon. They're all just hidden throughout the entirety of Pokemon, and if you just search it up, you can find them. But because of this, we're able to get all 266 Pokemon located onto our Pokedex, and finally, we only need a Regigigas. We end up getting a report from the Ranger Union to go off and investigate the Hippowdon Temple. Apparently, the Regigigas is awaiting the chosen trainer, which... it's probably us. And so we make our way down the Hippowdon Temple, and using the Regi Trio, we're able to finally access the final Pokemon we need, Regigigas. Now, you would think this is the hardest Pokemon to catch. It kind of wasn't. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of gotten used to this game, and I was pretty good at capturing and just looping with my stylus. So honestly, it wasn't that bad. And with that being said, we now have captured every single Pokemon and have 267 out of 267 Pokemon, thus 100%ing Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Almia. Because of this, we end up completing the browser, and we all celebrate at the Ranger Union. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Now, there is like DLC, like Wi-Fi content where you can capture Dialga and Palkia. I can't do that though because the servers are dead. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. It was a fun 40 hours, and yeah, it's been Adrian, guys.